Is underway right now for parents who want to give their opinion about proposed boundary changes in the Green Bay Area Public School District.
A few different scenarios have been recommended by a special facilities task force to address declining enrollment and a looming budget deficit. Happening right now, Jason Zimmerman is at the meeting. He's live in Green Bay with more on what is expected. Jason.
Cami, this is actually the second public feedback session today, with another one earlier this afternoon here at the Neville Public Museum. Many parents have been showing up hoping to have a say in those upcoming changes. The meeting includes a short presentation highlighting two different options and then a chance for people to ask questions. In one scenario, Franklin Middle School would be converted into a 4K through 8th grade campus. This would close Elmore and Chapel Elementary schools and consolidate them into Franklin. In a second scenario, Franklin becomes a 4K through 6th grade campus, with Elmore and Chapel consolidating into Franklin. West High School then becomes a school for 7th through 12th grade. A parent from Alloway had this reaction earlier today.
There are huge concerns with the Alloway community, especially of trying to figure out where to put all of the students, but at the same time we're struggling with filling schools and having empty schools, and the district just can't afford to keep all the schools running. So we want to, obviously, as Alloway, we want to keep our kids together as long as humanly possible.
And parents will have additional chances to weigh in and provide feedback throughout April and May, with the Board of Education expected to take action sometime in June. You can also view the presentation on the district's website. I'll share more of what was said at tonight's meeting coming up at 10 o'clock. Reporting live in Green Bay, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.